inquisitors plot and charge him. He is imprisoned and endures brutal torture from these inquisitors to elicit a confession of heresy.
Well, an agreement has come. Girolamo Savonarola must die. To let him live would be to let his movement continue. And to bring down the credibility of Florence. What can we do to destroy his influence and break his will?
What about a charge of religious posturing and heavy-handedness in Florentine politics?
Do not forget his dominion of the government.
Not to mention entering into illegal alliances with enemies of Florence and Italy.
May I suggest the rack?
Yes, that we might stretch a confession from this friar.
Yes.
Between torturous interrogations, Girolamo is kept in prison at the Palazzo Vecchio, the central government complex of Florence. In his cell, Girolamo preaches, not to others, but now to himself.
How long will you be such a weakling? Have you fought so long, but now cower in the face of death? Oh, have courage, you coward. Oh. Oh. Be gracious to me, O God, according to your kindness, love, according to the greatness of your compassion, blot out my transgressions. Oh, sinner that I am, where shall I turn now? But to the Lord, whose mercy is infinite. Oh, no one can glory in himself. All the saints say, not to us, O Lord, not to us be glory, but to your name. I see that we are not saved by our own merit, nor by works, but by the goodness and the grace of God, that nobody would boast. Oh, that Christ died for me. Oh, how then can I fear the wrath of man when I have been delivered from the wrath of God? No, I once lived as a coward, trembling at what the people thought. But now, I see, O Lord, I see your grace, and if armies are arrayed against me, my heart will know no fear, because you are my refuge, and you will lead me to my goal.
Finally, the day of the verdict against Girolamo had come.
This Inquisition charges you, Girolamo Savonarola, with schism and heresy, spreading confessional secrets, and causing disorder in the state. This Inquisition, made up of both the state and the church, finds you guilty of these charges.
You are therefore condemned to death.
Lord, it is enough. Now, take my sword.
Girolamo is led to the courtyard of the Palazzo Vecchio for his sentence to be carried out.
You are sentenced for these claims and actions. First, you claim individuals' free justification through faith in Christ.
Second, you have preached against the supposed wicked and perverse living of the cardinals and the church leaders. Third, you have spoken that the Pope's excommunications are not to be feared, that anybody who fears or flees them is excommunicate of God.
That you moved citizens to uproar and sedition.
You have neglected and contempted the Pope's citations. You have spoken shamefully, and you have slandered the Pope.
And finally, you stated that Italy must be cleansed through God's scourge from the many wickednesses of the princes and clergy. In what spirit do you bear this?
My Lord has suffered much for me. Shall I not be willing to suffer for his sake, who suffered willingly for me, a sinful man?
Now, Prophet, show your powers and work a miracle.
Yeah.
I separate you from the church, militant and triumphant.
Militant, not triumphant. For you do not have the power to separate me from the church triumphant to which I now go.
Girolamo Savonarola dies by hanging, and his body is then burned. This story of his life and death are but one chapter in the grand history of God's providence. Girolamo's early life was characterized by fear. Fear of man and fear of the wrath of God. However, upon finding refuge in Christ, Girolamo's fears were radically changed. In Christ, he knew no fear of earthly powers. He did not fear the Pope, nor Lorenzo Medici, nor the King of France, nor even death itself. For he recognized God as preeminently worthy. He was moved by God's holiness, justice, and mercy. Fearing God was a delight to Girolamo, even when faced with death, for he rested in the grace and forgiveness of the Lord. Ultimately, through the life of Girolamo Savonarola, we can see that appropriate gospel fear leads the heart to humbly honor God and delight in his majesty.